Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Just want to remind y'all real quick that we're streaming live this Friday, November 18th, Bayonetta 3 drinking game, starting at approximately 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna drink, we're gonna party, we're gonna shoot the shit, have fun, slay demons, livers, and just in general with our gal pal Bayonetta. It'll be tight and wild and off the rails just like every other Metal Meltdown stream. One hell of a party. But you know what'll make that party even better, if that's even possible? You being there, because it's not a party without you. So please be there. Friday, November 18th, once again, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's officially start talking about Divisive, the latest studio album and the 8th overall from American hard rock, heavy metal, alternative metal crew Disturbed, who shouldn't require much introduction at this point. If you've paid any attention to mainstream rock or metal in the past decade, you'll very likely know at least a little about this band. They have a ton of hit records, a ton of hit singles, stuff like Stupefy, Down with the Sickness, viral covers of Land of Confusion and Sound of Silence. They've had 5 consecutive albums debut at number 1 on the Billboard charts. The only other rock bands to accomplish this in the modern era are Metallica and the Dave Matthews Band. They've sold 17 million records worldwide overall. So yeah, long story short, Disturbed is kind of a big deal. And as such, an album like Divisive is also, by default, kind of a big deal. Divisive itself arrives in the midst of political friction and social media confusion and outrage, people tearing each other apart for having different opinions and views, and I mention this because, believe it or not, this is something Disturbed aims to tackle and confront directly on this album. It's a little bit of a wake-up call for us to step back and reflect on how crazy we're all acting, especially throughout social media and just even among friends and family, and watching strangers go at it. It's not even debating anymore, it's just attacking. It's just like, if you don't believe in what I believe, then I hate you and we have to cancel you. It's the back and forth hatred, and now it's just crazy. Similarly, the band's singer, David Draymond, in a statement released alongside the single Indestructible, says, "Partisan tribal warfare has become a part of our regular existence nowadays. It's one big battle of the cliques. The whole idea of the record is to be a wake-up call for everyone." It's worth noting that over the course of the past year, Draymond, Donegan, and other members of Disturbed have made their opinions and stances on what is commonly referred to as cancel culture very well known. In the summer, Donegan even rocked a cherry red guitar with the words "fuck cancel culture" written on it, in bold, white, cursive Coca-Cola font no less. And honestly, I feel like the image of that guitar alone probably does a better job at really explaining the core themes and ideals of this record than literally anything that Draymond or Donegan could possibly whip up for an interview. Because there's not actually a ton of depth or weight to anything lyrically, tonally, or conceptually on this thing. It's ultimately a lot of the same centrist lyrical platitudes and catchphrases that Disturbed have been churning out for most of their existence, except now it's specifically about cancel culture and how it's kind of poopy and sucky. In the opening track, Hey You, for instance, Draymond roars and howls out, "Have you had enough of it? How the blind are leading the blind? Are you angered enough? And do you feel confined? Are you losing your mind? Can you feel the effect of it? That shit keeps rotting your mind. Have you woken up? Do you still deny? Are you gonna comply?" Similarly, in Divisive, Draymond writes, "You won't listen to me. You won't speak to me. You've become another monster living in your own reality. Don't reach to me. Stop judging me." And, yeah, wow. Yikes. This radiates a level of cringe energy I would normally expect from Five Finger Death Punch. I don't like it. The killer is, that's not even the major issue, Cringe is one thing. We can handle cringe. We get cringe all the time here on the Metal Meltdown. The real issue is that, these songs are kind of about cancel culture, sort of, kind of, But I also feel like it's really open to interpretation because it's not explicitly about cancel culture, because it never really goes into detail as to what Disturbed approve or disapprove about cancel culture. I will say that the songs themselves, like, ignoring the lyrics, are decently well constructed. It's very much on par with what you expect from Disturbed at this point. Very anthemic, fist-bumping, hard rock, alternative metal, a lot of chunky grooves, Draymond doing some more of those, like, over-the-top kind of vocal bursts and such. You know, he's got a lot of passion, a lot of energy. I appreciate that. The track Unstoppable in particular is filled with muscular grooves and heavy battering percussion and some really triumphant epic melodies and such. It's honestly probably one of the better tracks we've heard from Disturbed in the past decade. Plus, credit where it's due, these songs, even in their worst moments, are far less obnoxious and far more tolerable than anything we've seen from other 40-year-old American rock stars writing in response to cancel culture as of late. Like, I will pick any of these songs over, like, anything from that last Kid Rock album or fucking Zombified from Falling in Reverse or something like that. I'm happy to see that Disturbed, for the most part, have also learned from the failures of their previous studio album, Evolution. They're no longer trying to repaint the Black Album in their image, unlike with Evolution. Instead, they're just kind of doing what Disturbed do. I mean, yes, we do have the more provocative themes and lyrics, if you count just empty platitudes about cancel culture as being provocative, but aside from that, they play things very safe here. Normally that would frustrate me, normally I would dismiss the album as generic and repetitive. In this instance, I'm fine with it, because at least it's not Evolution. Say what you will about this album, but at least it's not Evolution. There is a legit power ballad in the form of Don't Tell Me, but honestly, I found this to be a surprisingly sweet and endearing number. It was inspired by Dan Donegan's Divorce, and it features Ann Wilson from Heart on co-lead vocals alongside David Draymond. The two of them have surprisingly decent chemistry, and there's some great shimmering guitar work on this thing that I think is actually kind of pretty. It is definitely a generic number, but not dreadfully so. It actually has some legitimate heart to it. Pun semi-intended. I'm feeling a very flat, middle-of-the-road 2.5 out of 5 on this. I don't really have any strong opinions on this album. One way or another, it's really dumb, it's really stupid, but pretty well made. You know, there's some good performances, there's some bad writing. You know, everything kind of balances everything else out in a weird way with that in mind. The people who love Disturbed will love this album. The people who hate Disturbed will hate this album. I think it's a solid palate cleanser after Immortalized, and especially after Evolution. I mean, we're still far from the glory days of Disturbed, but, you know, if you're in the mood for, like, some really edgy, hard rock, alt metal shit, and you don't mind listening to some cringy lyrics about how cancel culture and society is really dumb and lame, then I guess maybe this is for you. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say, honestly. It's Disturbed, doing what they do, claiming to be more provocative and intelligent, but, you know, still ultimately just being Disturbed. You either love it or you don't at this point. 2.5 out of 5. It's okay. It's an album. It exists. I'll probably forget about it by the time this video goes online, to be brutally honest with ya. 2.5 out of 5. It's okay. It's fine. I'll probably never listen to it again, but I'm not, like, in horrible, agonizing pain after having heard it. So, yeah, there you go. Voila. Bravo. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this album? Do you not like this album? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe right here so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.